Welcome to the Rabbi Show.
The Rabbi Show.
Now you can connect with your own personal rabbi. Rabbi Yitzwine from the Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas is here at 257 KDWN.
All right, good morning. My name is Yitzwine, and I'm your host here on The Rabbi Show. And I'm also the rabbi of Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas, a great community synagogue here in Vegas. And boy, so much to talk about. Pesach is right around the corner. That's right. Passover is almost here. And if you are a Facebook friend of mine, then you'll probably notice that on Facebook, I posted a whole series of questions that we were going to discuss today. 7 themes of Passover. There's so many of them. Amongst the many issues that you have to discuss would be, what difference does knowing that God is intimately involved in your life make? I think about, what is Passover about anyway? You know, Passover means that God directed the angel of death, as perfectly depicted by a green slime fog that was moving through Egypt in Cecil B. DeMille's movie, The Ten Commandments, a classic. Anyway, so God directed the angel of death, to pass over the Jewish homes and only smite the Egyptian firstborn. Well, that's evidence. Hey, listen, you have an Egyptian, you have a Jew, they're living next to each other. The Egyptian gets it and the Jew doesn't. Hey, God's protecting me. How does it feel to know that God protects you? I wonder, do you ever feel that you got some people with a knife in your back? And do you ever turn to God and say, God, just protect me from them? Or do you ever turn, how about this one? God, it's not that I want to be a person that prays for the demise of others, but if you would not mind running them over with a bus, that'd be okay. In other words, it is an interesting thing. We have this idea, and to me, it's very comforting, by the way. This idea called measure for measure. Mida keneged mida, that how you treat others is how God treats you. If you treat others with kindness, God treats you with kindness. If you treat others with disdain, then the Almighty arranges the world will come back at you with disdain. If you wish bad on others, then bad comes back on you. I tell you something, I'm always very, so you might not want to be the person that wishes bad on others, because you don't want to be a person who wishes bad on others. But what if someone hurts you so badly that you just want to curse them with, the worst? But then but if I wish bad upon others, then the Almighty will open that up to me, and then those who wish bad upon me, that gives them power. So first of all, do you believe in that concept? Is that, do you believe in that concept? And that concept is illustrated. And for that to exist, you have to have God. You have to have God. There are certain things in life where we just don't, I think things happen. People say, murder is wrong, right? Murder is wrong. Well, if you're going to say murder is wrong, that means you believe in God. Because if there's no God, then that means the worst you can say is, I dislike murder. That's the way it is, right? Or any morality, right? You could say, people don't murder. It's wrong because I don't want others to murder me. Well, very nice. Hitler, Stalin, Mao, these people, they killed 100 million people. They murdered 100 million people. No one murdered them. They weren't worried about someone murdering them. So I don't want to steal because then people will steal from me. Maybe yes, maybe no. Certainly, if you steal from others, you will think others are stealing from you. That for sure is how it's going to work. But they will not necessarily steal from you. But if you want to say that stealing is wrong, then that means you have to have God. You got to say that God's in the world. You got to say God exists. So a lot of times we say concepts, or we espouse concepts, and we don't even realize what the implication is. But the essence of Passover, one of the main themes of Passover, is the understanding that God is intimately involved in our life. And that's why we Jews, we say the idea that God redeemed the Jewish people from slavery. We recite that every morning, every evening. You remember it every day, every holiday. We talk about it. But what difference does it really make to your life? In other words, are you more concerned about, well, listen, I got to go to work and I got to watch the football game? Maybe spend a few moments with my children. If that's what you're worried about, so then maybe you're not concerned with God's involved in your life, even though in certain things you do concern yourself. All right? So that's one theme. One theme is, what difference does it make knowing that God is intimately involved in your life? And Passover reinforces that. So even if you don't think about it normally, come the holiday of Passover, you're going to think about it. Right? That's one idea. Another thing is that God punished the bad people. That God went after the bad people. The Egyptians were bad. And we rejoice over that. We're happy. We're happy. We celebrate the fact that the bad people got it. And it's an amazing thing. We always, there's always some religious looking Jew who has the world, who's thinking about the world in an upside down way. And they say, oh, you can't, you have to be compassionate. You got to be kind. It's true. If you're a person, if you believe in God, believe in Judaism, you have to be compassionate. You have to be kind. But it's always amazing to me that people, they bring up this piece of Talmud, that when God split the sea and drowned all the Egyptians, and then what happened was the angels saw the Egyptians drown. All the bad people were drowned. And they started singing, and God turned and said, no, don't sing over the destruction of my creation. Where God turns to the angels and he says, you know what? It's horrible for me that people actually chose evil, that I had to destroy them. So God says to the angels, don't sing over the destruction of creation. Do you know who did sing over the destruction of the bad Egyptians? You know who sang over it? We did. That's right. We Jews, Moses led the Jewish people in song. Oz Yoshir. We sang over the destruction of evil because we're into this. We are into this destruction of evil. Which, by the way, now I want to talk about a side point. It's about Passover, but it's not really about Passover. But I like this side point here. So first of all, the not side point is God punishes evil and we rejoice. Does that make you happy? Does it make you feel good? I will tell you, I'm all about being happy, all about living a joyful life. And I will tell you that for me, knowing that God's involved in my life, that gives me a lot of joy, gives me a lot of happiness. To know that God runs the world measure for measure, how I behave towards others, God gives that back to me. It makes me a better person. Because even if I do have someone under my skin, and even if I do want to wish bad for them, I hold back, because I hold back. So I only have a good eye. I wish God would bless everybody. I wish God would bless me more than everybody else, but I still wish everybody would be blessed, right? So good for everybody. Okay. So, and that makes me happy. And knowing that God is going to even the score, that also makes me happy. I'm a happy guy because of this. I like, there's and people that don't, that are not so into God evening the score, I don't think they realize how much pain and suffering has been caused by evil people in the world. Open up the New York Times today, and you'll see there's a magnificent photo. It's called, the caption is Road to Nowhere. And it's a road that is in Africa, and it is lined with displaced people. And of course, there's the Islamic terrorist group Boko Haram that have killed millions of people in the past 8 years. This gets no press. I mean, I shouldn't say it. It is on the front page of a section of the New York Times, right? But comparatively, no one's talking about this. No one talks about Boko Haram. No one talks about we talk about ISIS. Yeah, okay, they're bad. They're horrible. ISIS is terrible. Okay, but Boko Haram, millions of people they've killed, displaced people. It's horrible. Anyway, so this picture, it's a magnificent picture. It's a 2-lane paved highway with all the displaced people that congregate along the highway, because when the UNICEF trucks come by with rice and food and water, whatever, they're driving on the road, so they're going to see the displaced people, and that's where they will give out the charity. Which that is, by the way, that is the purpose of the United Nations. If people want to know, like, United Nations, they do nothing. You know what? You can get rid of 90% of the United Nations of the organization, but you keep UNICEF. UNICEF, they do good work. They people that are like on their last leg, they help them out, and that's that really is the purpose. That's a good purpose of this kind of organization. That's a Jewish purpose. It's a Jewish purpose. You help humanity. Okay. So, all right. So, what's the side point? Here it is, the side point. And then we're going to take your calls. The number to call if you have a question about Passover, and that's really what we're talking about. But this is a related theme. The number to call is 702-257-5396. 257-5396. I'm Rabbi Yitzwine. You're listening to The Rabbi Show. Here is the related theme. It was in several reported in ISA and USA today, this past week, but it was in other news outlets as well, this particular story on Donald Trump. So President Trump is trying to get down to the bottom of who he is. So he said there's a few key pieces of philosophy that he has. First one is, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't want to say the word that was in the paper, that if someone were to mess with him in business, he would mess with them back 20 times, 20-fold. That Donald Trump has a value that if someone messes with me, I'm going to get back at him 20 times over. And not only that, but my ideology is going to override my pragmatism, which means even if it means burning down my own house to get the other guy, I'm going to burn down my own house. There's a lot of times people don't go into lawsuits because they say, it's not worth it. It's too damaging for me. It's not worth my damage to get back at him. So Donald Trump's philosophy has always been, since he was younger, a young businessman, was if you come after me, I'm coming back at you 20 times harder. First of all, to make sure you don't ever mess with me again. But the next thing is everyone else should know, don't mess with me. And if I let you get away with it, that opens the door to everyone else. Okay? And the last thing is always be loyal to your friends. Be loyal to your friends. Those people who have helped you, you stay loyal to them. Because loyalty is such a rare commodity, you have to show your value for it. So when I read that, of course, there's a multitude of issues that come about. And these issues are related to Passover, and I'll show you how that happens after we take your calls or maybe during your calls. But the question is the loyalty, of course, that's what Judaism is all about. I mean, God redeemed us, so we are loyal to God. God gave us life, we're loyal to God. God gives us blessings, we're loyal. He allows us to breathe, we're loyal to God. A Jew wakes up every morning and says, what am I living for? How can I serve God? How can I bring more godliness in the world? How can I make God great? Right? How can I bring that's what my life is about. That's what my life is about, out of gratitude to the Almighty and those people that help me. Those people that are God's agents in helping me, I have loyalty to them. Okay. But what about this other one? Does ideology overcome pragmatism? Truth is, kind of does. Because we have our ideology is Jewish law. And our ideology says, right, Jewish law, that's going to override, that'll direct us. If it is the right thing to do, to smack a person back, even though you don't want to smack a person, then you'll smack a person back. That's the reality. If the right thing to do is to walk away and do a lot of good stuff, then you'll walk away and do a lot of good stuff, which might not feed into his first tenet, which his first tenet was, if someone messes with me, I mess back with him 20 times harder. What do you think? That's Donald Trump. When I read that, I said to myself, listen, I wonder if there's a lot of 20 and 30-year-olds out there that are going to become a lot more mean. I wonder if that makes it a more mean country. Because whereas I do not look to the president of the United States as my moral standard, I'm a religious guy. I have a Torah. I have God. That's my standard. But a big chunk of America, especially millennials, 20 and 30-year-olds, they look at the most successful person around and they say, hey, if that's how he's going to behave, that's how I got to behave. And that might mean that the president of the United States is the most successful guy around. And if he's going to name call people And if he's going to push people, then maybe that's what I got to do. If that's how to get ahead, that's what I'm going to do. Does it make the country better or worse? What do you think? 702-257-5396. You're listening to the Rabbi Wine. My name is Rabbi Wine. You're listening to The Rabbi Show. I'm the Rabbi of Young Israel Aish, Las Vegas. Got to invite you to my Tuesday night, 7:30 class at Young Israel Aish. It's fantastic. We're talking about Passover next week. Really got to get you guys ready. Huge holiday. It's happening a week from this Monday night. And not only that, but I want to invite you. We're having our year-end fundraiser. We are honoring Dr. D and Adam Millman and Barry and Kevin Kraft, and big party at the Palms Place in the Hugh Hefner Suite. I want to invite all of you to come and be involved with it. Just go to the website. Type in Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas. Young Israel, then AISH of Las Vegas. Take you to the website. You'll have all the information over there. Okay, 702-257-5396. Let's talk about Passover. Let's talk about Donald Trump. Let's put it all together. Thomas, good morning.
Yes.
Thomas, I have great news for you.
I'm ready to hear it.
The Almighty loves you very much.
You're so kind. I love listening to your YouTube videos in the morning when I get ready for work. They really get my day going.
Yay! You are awesome. Thank you. Hey, Thomas, how did you initially find my YouTube videos?
Oh, I was at City Hall, and the mayor had introduced you to the city, and everybody started talking about you in the parking lots and especially at City Hall. And I started to ask, who is this guy? So I went to online. I Googled you. I found out about your school and your YouTube videos, and they were just so inspirational that I started listening to them in the morning while putting my tie on and shirt, and it's really got me going. And especially my boss and a lot of my coworkers are Jewish, and you've really helped me out. In fact, that's one reason I'm calling.
Awesome.
I'm calling to ask you.
Well, awesome. First of all, before you ask me, I want to express my gratitude to you. So thank you so much for listening and searching, looking it up, and spreading the good word. So I appreciate that. All right.
Absolutely. So my question is, my close friend, who's also my boss, Marty Mizrahi, he had a birthday party, and I wanted to get him something. So I thought, what do I get my friends who are Jewish, especially for Passover? What do I give them for gifts that you would recommend? And the second is, because I work with a lot of Nevada leaders, even last night we were talking about you, because many people want to go to Israel for Passover. Many of us want to travel there. And I was speaking with some leaders from Carson City, and I said, yeah, you need to talk to the rabbi. He has a show tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. You got to tune in. And they said, yeah, if we're Jewish or if we're not Jewish, how do we go there? Who do we contact? What kind of travel agency? Because Passover, and I said, there's 365 days in a year, and only one day time is Passover. You got to take advantage of this time and learn. So we need your advice.
I love that. So here we go. So thank you. So let's do the first one first. So the first one is what do you get your friends for Passover? So thank God we're still a week away. I suggest wisdom. Because, if you give your friend chocolate, he will think you're sweet. If you give him a piece of wisdom, then he will value you to the extent that it actually affects his life. So where do you get wisdom? So, something that every Jew needs is a different kind of Haggadah. I would say that the most observed holiday in the Jewish religion is Passover. And not that everyone observes it like I observe it. My Passover Seder goes on for 6 hours. It's on 6-7 hours. And in about 30 seconds, my wife is going to text me and say, not this year it doesn't. This year, but every year it ends up going, from 8 to 2:30. But most people have a Passover dinner, and the dinner is centered around the Passover Haggadah. And there are so many of them that are interesting, that have an interesting commentary on them. Some of them have a lot of commentary. That's for people who like to read. not everyone likes to read. Some people, believe it or not, they like to look at the pictures. And so I suggest if you go on a website called artscroll.com, that's artscroll.com, and you go to the Passover section and the Haggadahs, you will see a plethora of different Haggadahs. They're the children's Haggadah, the family Haggadah, and then different Haggadahs from different authors with different themes. One of my favorite ones is a Haggadah. It's called From Bondage to Freedom, and it's also found on that website, that publisher. And it's written by Rabbi Torsky, who runs an addiction counseling program in Pittsburgh, and he explains that how a person can use the holiday of Passover to really break free from any negative habit, whether the habit is their ego or a particular desire or a certain foolishness or that's in their life. And so I suggest you go on there, you buy a Haggadah, and then you send it over to them, and that's wisdom. So wisdom is always the greatest gift, I think. There are some people that so that's my first suggestion. In terms of going to Israel, there is there's another website. There's a company actually run by a friend of mine in New York. It's called goinspire.com. And what they do is they really put together, so it's goinspire.com. It's a GOINSPIRE.com. And that anyone who wants to go to Israel, if it's one person or if it's a group of people, okay, there's five of us want to go and want to get hooked up, or I want to find a tour, whether it's going to be a tour that's for Jews or a tour that for non-Jews, then I think that they should definitely connect with goinspire.com, because they are in touch with so many different kinds of tours. And I think the first time a person goes to Israel, you should go on a tour. You should go on one of these things that are really, really important. If on a very narrow market, if a person wants to go and they happen to be Jewish and a woman who has children at home under 18 years old, then they should contact my wife, Helene Wine, because we do a program connected with an organization called JWRP, and you go to a website called that, jwrp.com, and they run tours for women specifically. That's the way to go for them. That, like, if you're, and again, I think all these things you can go through goinspire.com, or you'll catch that, because that's a subsidized tour. And of course, if a person's Jewish, and I think they're under 26 years old, they can go on Birthright, and that's basically a free trip. That's so there's many pathways to go, but I think the main thing is I like your questions, because your questions are based on how do we help people and how do we elevate their lives, and I appreciate that very much in you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm going to check that out right now online.
All right, Thomas, thank you so much. All right, the number to call is 702-257-5396. 257-5396. My name is Rabbi Yitzwine. You're listening to The Rabbi Show. You can catch me out, just like Thomas does, on my YouTube channel. Go to Yitzwine, YITZWYNE, or you can become a Facebook friend of mine, or you can come to Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas on Tuesday nights at 7:30 for a great Passover class. And right now, we're talking about Passover and various themes of Passover. And you want to connect. What does Passover mean to you? And what do you think? Does the fact that Donald Trump puts friends first, and included in that, if you hurt him, he's going to hurt you back 20 times more. Do you think that makes the country more kind or less kind? And see if you can argue out both sides of the coin.
Having financial independence and wealth empowerment is the American dream. Learn what the wealthy know. Get strong returns and never lose your principal. That's the Heroes Talk Radio way. Learn about the secrets to planning a tax-free retirement income. Listen every Saturday at 4 p.m. for Heroes Talk Radio on AM 720 KDWN. You can also call them now at 866-544-7755. That's 866-544-7755.
Hey, Las Vegas, business is booming and Dollar Loan Center is growing like never before. Now we need some superstars to join our team and keep up with demand. Dollar Loan Center. Loan Center is the largest short-term lender in the state of Nevada, and we've been in business for nearly 20 years. Maybe it's time for you to switch sides of the counter and come to work for the DLC. We have immediate openings for full-time loan processors and managers in training, competitive starting pay, great benefits, and a fun work environment with Sundays off. To apply, visit don'tbebroke.com/careers. If you're bilingual, that's a huge plus, and we have 42 locations in Nevada, so you shouldn't have to travel far to work. We're ready to interview you and have paid training ready to start immediately. Come be part of one of the most fun companies in Nevada. Apply online today at don'tbebroke.com/careers.
Dollar Loan Center is an equal opportunity employer. Licensed by Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Customer must meet the normal loan qualifications. To review loan qualifications, visit us at don'tbebroke.com. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
Your time is precious, so skip the wait in line at the Nevada DMV with Dash Pass appointments. Or skip the trip altogether with a MyDMV online account. Visit dmvnv.com to stay on the go with the Nevada DMV.
Blinds are one of those things I never thought I'd buy online, but that was before I found Blinds.com. The prices, selection, and quality are amazing, and their professional designers will give you free online design consultation, helping you pick, measure, and install the perfect blinds. If you mismeasure or pick the wrong color, they'll remake your blinds for free. They'll send you free samples, and every order gets free shipping. Now through April 4th, buy 3 blinds and get the 4th one free when you go to Blinds.com and use my promo code PAGS. That's Blinds.com. Promo code PAGS. Rules and restrictions apply.
You're unique, so why is your mattress one size fits all? Because a custom mattress costs thousands, until now. Hi, I'm Christian von Rickenbach, founder of HelixSleep.com, where you can buy a mattress online, customized for you, for hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. Go to HelixSleep.com, answer a few simple questions, and we build you the most comfortable mattress you'll ever sleep on. Shipping is free, and you have 100 nights to try it out. Go to HelixSleep.com/talkradio and get $50 off your order. HelixSleep.com/talkradio.
This is Rabbi Yitzwine. My rabbi taught me the battle for life is the battle for clarity. He was talking about intellectual clarity, but if you want clarity in your vision, do what I did. Call my friend Dr. Richard Rothman at LASIK of Nevada, 636-2010. I wasn't going to let anybody touch my eyes, but shortly after he performed his painless procedure, I was rolling around playing ball with my boys without glasses. One of the best decisions of my life. Time to get focused. Call Dr. Rothman at LASIK of Nevada, 636-2010. Ask for Rabbi Vision, and he will give you a 50% discount on premium LASIK.
News Talk 720 KDWN, where Las Vegas comes to talk.
Good morning. My name is Yitzwine. I am your host here on The Rabbi Show. I'm also the Rabbi of Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas. And we're having a great time here. We're talking about Passover. So, we're talking about Passover. And, one of the interesting things about Passover is that, we always talk about, you invite people to come in and enjoy your bread of affliction, right? That's what matzah is. You hold up matzah. Matzah is flour and water baked very fast with no additives. And, we call it the lechem oni, a poor man's bread, a bread of affliction. Some people call it lechem oni because, it costs $30 a pound. And if you buy it, you'll be poor. Some people call it a bread of affliction because if you eat a lot of it, you'll have stomach problems, bread of affliction. But really, we call it bread of affliction because we say that was the bread that our forefathers ate in Egypt when we were trying to escape Egypt. We did not have time. When it came time to go, we had to leave pretty fast, and we did not have time to let the dough rise. That's the essence of it. So, because and the message is that if you want to be free from something, if something's bugging you, you got to move on it. You don't just sit there and complain. You don't kvetch. You don't just say, wow, this is a problem. This is a problem. I hate my job. I hate my job. I hate my job. This is horrible. The people around me, they're so miserable. Oh. No, get off your tuchus and get out of there. Get yourself a new job. A person is like, I'm stuck in a horrible marriage. Oh, it's so terrible. My spouse, they're so mean. No, either fix it or flee it. Fix it or flee it. Fix it. In other words, you don't sit in bad situations in your life. If you want freedom, then you move on it. But again, a lot of people don't want freedom. We do have a tradition that 4/5 of the Jewish people died in the plague of darkness, and they did not leave Egypt. So if you read your Bible and you know your Bible story well, so you'll know that there were about 600,000 men that stood at the foot of Mount Sinai that left Egypt. And demographers will say that means there were about 2.5 million people. Say there were 3 million people. 2.5 million, something like that. That means that 12 million people and 4/5 of them died in Egypt. That means like 12 million people died. 10 to 12 million people, Jews, died in Egypt in the plague of darkness. And they were buried. Why did they die in the plague of darkness? Because they did not want to go free. So you ask yourself, do you want to be free from the bitterness in your life? There are certain things in your life that are bitter. And do you really want to be free? Or would you rather just hang around and fetch and complain and kind of suffer through it? And then there are some people who say, oh, I got to get out of my Egypt. But maybe that Egypt is really not such a bad place for you. What person who goes to school doesn't want to say, oh, Egypt, I got to escape school. Maybe I'll drop out of school. No. Or what person, there are sometimes you're in a bad job, but you're doing your time. Because the first couple of years, man, you got to do your time in any career. The first 5 years in any career, you're probably not going to make so much money. You're probably going to work harder than you feel you should. You're probably going to encounter people who are not as nice to you as you would like them to be. But you got to learn the ropes. You got to learn the ropes. And when you're 30 years old and after you've gotten your education, you got 5 years under your belt. All right, now you make your own decisions. Now you want to take off. You want to go skiing in the middle of winter, you'll go. Okay, but you gotta work it out. You gotta pay your dues, so to speak. So don't think that every negative situation is an Egypt and an oppressive situation. You got to be clear on that. Maybe it's your ego that's making an oppressive situation. You see, life is not so simple. Life is not so simple. 702-257-5396. I'm Rabbi Yitzwan. We're talking about Passover, themes about Passover. So let's go. You invite people to share our bread of affliction. It does not sound very nice to do that. Why do you think we do that? Why do you share in your bread of affliction? What's that to teach us? What is the story? Why start talking about the disgrace of the Jewish people in the story when we tell the story of the Jewish people and end up with the greatness of the Jewish people? We started off as idolaters. We started off as slaves. We ended up being free people, a light into the nations. Why do you have to focus on the bad? Just like, life is great. Hey, man. How you doing? Life is great. So the thing is like this. I brought up this Donald Trump issue in the first segment. And I want to know your opinion on it. And I'm going to connect it with Passover. And if you have an opinion, you can call in at 702-257-5396. USA Today reported 3 values that Donald Trump has. One value is, if someone messes you in business, you're going to mess them back 20 times harder. Don't take any messing from anybody. And the reason you do it is because you don't want them to mess with you again, and you don't want other people to mess with you, so you send everyone a message. You mess with me, I'm getting back at you 20 times harder. Now, I will tell you, that makes a lot of sense to me. You know what also makes sense to me? The piece of Talmud that says that anyone who overcomes his desire to strike back will be blessed 100 times over. I've seen that in my own life. I've seen many, many times when people have come after me. My desire has been, I'm gonna beat that guy to a pulp because I can. I know I can. And I said, what? I don't know if God wants me to do that. It's better. Sometimes it's better to set an example for others. So listen, I'm taking the high road. And then the Almighty send blessings, multitude over. And because God treats us measure for measure, the guy who tried to harm me, he ended up, sometimes it takes years. But, he got his due. That gives me a lot of joy. Gives me a lot of joy to know that there's a God who runs the world He runs the world measure for measure. So if someone messes with me, now, the Talmud's not so clear. Judaism is not so strong in you mess with me, I'm going to beat you down 20 times over. And my question to you is, does that make the world worse? Does it make the world worse to put your ideology over of I'm going to beat him down over pragmatism, which means even if I burn my own house down, at least I got him. It was expensive to get him, but I got him. And of course, the other side of that is be very loyal to your friends, because that is the other side. Because Donald Trump's not a creep. I mean, it happens to be hey, speak with anyone who knows him. The people who know him all say he's a magnificent guy because he's very loyal to his friends. He's loyal to his friends. He's loyal to the people and loyal to him. And loyalty is such a rare commodity. There are so many really, really nice people I know, and they are scum because they're not loyal. I know some very nice, kind, genteel people. And at the end of the day, they are the scum of the earth. And the reason is because they're not loyal. Because you can be nice to them, and they'll be nice to you. You'll be nice to them, you'll be nice to you. You'll be nice to them, they'll be nice to you. You'll be nice to them, and they will stab you in the back because someone else is nicer to them. So I'd rather be around a Donald Trump. Personally, I would. I'm not planning on coming after anybody. That's not the way I work. I don't try and advance myself by pushing other people down. So I have no fear that he would ever come after me. You get it? In other words, if you're the kind of person that advances yourself by pushing other people down, so yes, you don't like a Donald Trump because you can expect that he'll come after you. But I'm not that kind of guy. I never push people down in order to get myself up. I try and raise people, and by raising them, then I feel raised. Or certainly I perceive that I'm raised. I don't know if other people perceive that I'm raised, but I perceive I'm raised if I raise other people up. I always do my best to be loyal. So, I mean, I work very hard on it. So, in other words, to me, a Donald Trump type personality is, I'm really happy with that. Even if I don't understand, even if I don't agree with every aspect. What do you think? 702-257-5396. And I believe to work this way, again, Passover, God runs the world. That's one of the messages of Passover. God runs the world. Dunk, 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 dunk. Does God run the world? Do you believe that what you put out is what you're going to get back? 702-257-5396. I want to introduce to you fabulous guy because he's my son. Aaron Wine, right here in studio. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning.
Aaron, I have great news for you.
Yeah, let me guess.
Go ahead, guess.
Is it that God loves me?
He does love you very much.
Nice.
Excellent. Okay, what's your thought?
So, I think just in terms of what Trump said that that if a guy gets you back, you have to get him back. I mean, I think maybe that's good just in business, just because that's how you have to. Obviously, it worked out for him. That's how you have to. That's how you have to run your business, just to make sure other people don't come after you and things like that. It's kind of like, I view it more of like a business type of move. But in terms of just in life in general, if someone goes after you, a lot of times when God wants to send you a message, he's going to use it through other people. So if God wants to make you, I don't know, lose money or whatever, he'll have a guy steal money from you, whatever. So a lot of times when someone does something to you, you have to look at it more of a message from God than someone else doing something bad to you. And I think that's the way really you should view it.
Right. And then you don't feel the need to go after them because God's sending you a message.
Right. Don't be upset at this guy. Just look at it as a message from God. But in terms of what Trump is saying, Trump is kind of just saying it's like kind of like a business decision. Right. A guy messes you over in business. So just like you have strategies other ways in business, this is just another strategy.
I hear that. I totally get that.
That's kind of, how I'm saying what he said, I guess.
So not necessarily on a personal level, when you're, I think one of the things that complicates it is that for many people, their personal and their business is so intertwined. In other words, if someone were to if someone were to say something bad about you on a personal level, that might affect your business, in which case you stop and say, I got to go after them.
I think you're right. So I think the best way to do it, I don't know if this would be possible, but to not really try not to be upset at the person because you realize it's a message from God.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to say, okay, this can't be happening with me. So I just, in terms of this person doing this just because it's going to ruin either business or things like that.
You know, it's interesting. There's an idea that a person should never really be angry, never get angry at another person. But in Jewish law, you're allowed to express your anger to others if to guide them in a proper way. So if you're a boss in a company or, you know, leader of a community or in a family, you are allowed to pretend to be angry, to act angry in order to rebuke someone, but you're not allowed to feel angry, except on Shabbos, except on the Sabbath when you're not even allowed to pretend to be angry. You know, in Jewish law, and Sabbath, you're not allowed to yell, right? That's why it says you shall not create a fire. Do not light a fire on the Sabbath. Hello, we know you're not allowed to light a fire on the Sabbath. Why does the Torah have to repeat it? So one of the great rabbis of about 500 years ago, the Vilna Gaon, he explained that you're not allowed to pretend to even light a fire, meaning with your emotions. So that, you know, it's like I always say, like in Judaism, you don't have to be perfect, but you gotta try to control yourself. You know, at least try. So I like that idea. Okay, here we go. 702-257-5396. 702-257-5396. Let's go to Judah. Judah, good morning.
Good morning, Rabbi Wine.
Hey, Judah, I have great news for you.
Yeah?
The Almighty loves you very much.
Thank God. Baruch Hashem. Thank God.
All right.
I had a question regarding Passover. I just wanted to know, am I allowed to drink instant coffee or brewed coffee? I heard it might be a problem. Some people allow it, some people don't. What's your hold on it? Can I drink it? Can I not? I heard it might be chametz. What's the deal with it?
Okay, you're asking a great question. The answer is both. Some kinds of instant coffee are permissible on Shabbos, on the Passover, and some are going to be prohibited. Like, for example, a regular unflavored coffee. For example, instant coffee. So, like, for example, Taster's Choice and Folgers. And I'm not talking about not decaf or chicory, but just like Folgers, Nescafe, Taster's Choice. So then or national brands. That's a thing. That's a brand. Or Elite Coffee. All those are permissible on Passover. If you have a brewed coffee, you have your own brewer, like your own little coffee machine. So you can get, before Shabbos, you can get Starbucks, you can get Chase Sanborn coffee, you could get chock full of nuts. So there's a lot of these things that have it, if it's unflavored. So that's what you want to do. And you can, there's no problem with that. You got it?
Perfect.
But I would not recommend, you should not go into a coffee shop on Passover. You should not go into a Starbucks. Or over here we have a coffee bean and tea leaf that everything is kosher except for Passover. One should not go into those restaurants on Passover because they have chametz around. So you want to anticipate how much ground coffee you're gonna need. Get in there before Passover, and then enjoy your coffee.
Okay, thank you so much. So basically, at the end of the day, I'm allowed to do everything that's not flavored.
Exactly. No flavored.
It doesn't make a difference. Instant, brewed, doesn't make a difference. Unflavored is allowed.
You got it. That's it. Invest in a nice thermos and get your Passover thermos and brew that coffee in the morning. Enjoy.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rabbi Wine.
Terrific, Judah. Hey, Judah, before you go, what is the favorite part of your Passover Seders?
The favorite part of my Passover Seder is Manishtana.
Ask them the questions.
It reminds me of when I was like a little guy.
I like it. Enjoy. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Very nice. Okay, it's 702-257-5396. 257-5396. We're talking a little bit more about Passover, and we're talking about, I want to go to this theme about this idea that when you're telling over the story of the Jewish people, you start off with the bad stuff and you end up with the praise. This is big. Because as we know, I'm all about happiness. And I think that it's, and Passover is a day that makes you happy. One of the reasons that Passover makes you happy is because it reminds you that you're Jewish. It gives you purpose in life. If you don't have purpose in life, then you're probably not going to be happy. You'll probably be bored. I think one of the big problems in our society is we are affluent. It's a funny thing. Affluence plus secularization, meaning lack of God, equals boredom. You know that. In other words, you see, if people don't have purpose in their life, they become very bored. So this is what happens. It used to be that people would work very, very, very hard. They had a purpose in life. What was their purpose? Their next meal. A roof over their head. So when people became affluent to the point that, listen, if I show up to work, I show up to work. I don't show up to work. All right, maybe I can't get what I want to get. Maybe I can't, but basically I got what I got. Okay, I don't have to worry about it. They lost that a drive. Now they have to create other avenues of purpose and meaning in their life. And then when people you take God out of the picture, as many people do, they just don't think about God, that it's a non-issue. So then you don't really have you don't really have that sense of morality of right and wrong. So you end up creating secular religions. Politics is a secular religion. There are people that are hooked on to CNN, MSNBC, Fox News all day, every day. That's their secular religion, or sports, or gambling, or money, or in other words, so that becomes their religion. But if you don't have a religion, so to speak, and you have affluence, you have boredom. So that stuff, these are enemies of happiness. But if you have a goal, you have a drive in your life, you say, I got something big in my life. I have to accomplish something in my life. God expects something of me. So then you have purpose, you have drive, and you have happiness. You're feeling good about life. Okay. So we start off in the story of the Jewish people, which the end of the story of the Jewish people is you are created to bring godliness in the world, active godliness in the world, not just passive, but active godliness in the world. So then you start off talking about the bad stuff. So the point is be happy, which is what we all want, and to live a joyful life. So why do you got to talk about the bad stuff? It's like this. Arn is in the studio. So Arn, let me tell you about your grandfather.
Yep.
He's an idolater, worshipped idols, probably totally immoral. Then he was a slave. These are your roots, my son. How do you feel about that? Well, strange. Huh?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, strange.
It's a little weird.
So it could be disturbing. This is who you are, your roots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty disturbing, yeah.
So the thing is like this. I think, do you have a thought in terms of why we got to start off with the bad stuff before we get to the good stuff?
I think like any good story with a happy ending always starts off bad. You get to the lowest of the low, and then start working your way up and up, and that's really why it's such a happy ending, because we went from all the way down from slaves and idol worshippers to such a high level, and that's really what the celebration is, really.
Oh, nice. Like if the Rocky movies started off that he was the world champion, and then he ended up the world champion.
Yeah, there's no excitement to that.
That would be pretty boring. Okay, and also in the studio, thank you, Arn. I got Shuey here. Shuey, let's hear it. Shuey, I have good news for you, by the way.
Yeah, let's hear.
The Almighty loves you very much.
Wow. Really?
You never knew?
You made my day.
Thank God.
Okay, I just want to say, so that Aaron, that was a beautiful thought. Am I supposed to be speaking this?
You're speaking. Everyone can hear you.
That was a beautiful thought, Aaron. I really have nothing much more to add. The only thing I could add is a less Hollywood version of an answer, and that is that, we live in a very instantaneous, result-orientated world, that people are expecting the end result, the finish line, right away. And that could sometimes be very discouraging, because when someone's working towards something and aspiring to get somewhere and he or she does not get there immediately, it could be very depressing. And you could say, okay, listen, I'm not accomplishing, but no, the Haggadah is teaching us not like that. The Haggadah is teaching that in order to get somewhere, you have to go through the trials and tribulations, and you have to climb that mountain in order to get to the top. And it could take a long time, and it could take a lot of effort, but that is part of life, and that is as important, if not more important, than a finish line itself. So the Haggadah is teaching us this extremely significant lesson that we have to incorporate in our everyday life, to realize it's not just about the end goal, it's not just about the freedom, it's not just about where we're headed, but it's about in the direction where we're trying to move.
That is exceedingly profound. That is I could not agree with you more. It's very, very profound, because a person has to learn to rejoice in the process, not the end. Which, flipping back, to what we were talking about before, in terms of how, when I was saying that, sometimes, a person would come against, sometimes a person feels, oh, someone's coming against me. But you know what? Listen, I don't have to be the one to administer the justice 20 times over, because God runs the world. So, and you see eventually people get their due. You have to learn to rejoice over the moment that you're alive, every moment that you're alive, and be patient, because God's timeline is not our timeline. We will go for that instant gratification. We want things to happen now. But sometimes the Almighty says, listen, you know what? You're going to, a person's got to go further down. The further down on the trampoline you go, the higher you can soar. The more times that you fight through a battle, the greater the joy, the greater feeling of accomplishment when at the end of the day. And I think it's a big part of where faith comes into. Faith and trust in God is that, listen, God's running the world. So even though I'm going through a difficult time now, this can lead me to something fantastic in the future. Okay, listen, once that music comes on, Aaron, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Shuey, thanks for coming in. You're the man. Okay, I want to thank you for joining me. This has been The Rabbi Show. My name is Rabbi Yitzwine of the Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas. Please go on to my website, Young Israel Aish, AISH of Las Vegas. Sign up for our year-end party, which is in the middle of the year on April 24th. And you know what? Bring a friend. You want to give your friend a Passover gift? Bring them as a guest to our party. That's what you should do. And have a great Passover. We'll see you next week on The Rabbi Show. Remember, live joyfully.